The Winter Olympics are going on now, so today in Clash Royale we are going to be playing a special Winter Olympic themed deck. And I'll explain the deck as we get into this first game here. Both of the evolutions that we're going to be using are both of the cold evolutions because obviously it's the Winter Olympics that are going on. So we have the Evo Snowball as well as the Evo Ice Spirit to kind of fit the winter cold themed with a lot of the snow events that are going on. We then have a green card, a red card, and a white card to represent the three colors of the flag of Italy, which is obviously where the Olympics are being held right now. So we have three colors that represent the flag of Italy, and then three cards that represent actual events in the Olympics as well. So we probably could have poisoned, but okay, I was hoping the Mega Knight would jump, but that's fine. We then have three cards that represent specific events in the Olympics as well. So the Musketeer is there for the biathlon, just because I think the biathlon, it consists of like cross-country skiing, but there's also a shooting portion. I don't know how much of the Olympics you guys watch, but there's a shooting portion where you have to stop skiing and you get a rifle and you shoot long range. And so we have Musketeer, which has a rifle. I was actually thinking about having the Evil Musketeer in there as well, just because Evil Musketeer is, it definitely fits more of the sniper theme as far as sniping across the map. However, we just have the normal Musketeer. Alright, we're gonna have to pray that Evo Ice Spirit saves us here because the Mega Knight is tanking, and Evo Ice Spirit does save us. So Musketeer is there for the biathlon, for the shooting portion. We then have Graveyard, which is there for, there's actually an event called the Skeleton, so we have a card which spawns skeletons. And then the last card is the Mega Knight. Mega Knight is not a card that I normally play, but it's in the deck because I believe he's the only card that jumps in the game. Oh, that's really bad. I was hoping the monk would tank there, but instead he does not. And this time we don't have the Evil Ice Spirit, so I don't think we're gonna get saved here. We're not gonna get saved by the Ice Spirit. So Mega Knight is there for the ski jump, just because I believe Mega Knight is the only card in the game that jumps. So I thought it was fitting for the ski jump, which is obviously a jumping sport as well. Speaking of jumping, it's going to jump and take our tower. So not a great start to the video, but this is actually a decent deck. I'm confident that we can win with it, just because we have Graveyard, we have Poison, we have a couple of tanks for the Graveyard as well, in the Mega Knight and the Monk, so I think this should be a decent deck. We just have to learn how to play it, but that is the Olympicness of the deck. And I actually wanted to share something with you guys today that took place on the drive up to Oregon, which many of you know, many of the regular viewers. Many of the regular viewers that watch the streams or the videos know that I drove up to Oregon fairly recently, and I actually shared a message a couple videos ago from just something that I realized on the trip, and I was thinking of something else as well. Also, we may be up against that Archer Queen Pigs Earthquake deck. It looks like we are. Normally I wouldn't go so aggressive, but because he just used his Earthquake on offense, he won't have it to defend the Graveyard, so I'm hoping we'll be able to get a little bit of damage here. But while we were driving up to Oregon, I was sitting in the back for the first leg of the trip, essentially. Ooh. I don't know that we're going to be able to defend the Archer Queen. Alright, we'll just have to take a ton of Archer Queen damage. Probably shouldn't have Mega Knighted over there. Um, that's what happens when you overspend. But during the trip to Oregon, I was sitting in the back seat for the first several hours of the trip, and I was just kind of leaning my head up against the window and kind of resting because it was getting kind of into the evening, and so I was kind of just leaning my head up against the window, and I one of the thoughts that I had as I was doing that was like, if we got T-boned right now, I would be immediately dead. Like I was just thinking I would be in such a terrible spot. Let's actually go for an ability here. That was definitely not worth it. Um, the good news is that if he goes with his pigs, we have the snowball for it. Um, yeah, that's what I was worried about. I was just worried about him being able to use his earthquake on defense as just a really good answer to the graveyard. But if we go with a monk in front to maybe reflect the cannon. Hold on, I have this thought that I want to share with you guys, but I keep getting off topic. Um, but essentially, please tell me that still helps out. Kind of. Okay, it helped out with one of the pigs, and then it just decided its shift was over. um, all right, he's just cycling back to more pigs. I'm wanting to share something with you guys, but you can't do that against these sweats. Um, hold on. Yes, he has earthquake, but hold on. Hold on. Okay, I'll share my thought after I hopefully beat this guy. I really don't know if we can do it, but thank goodness Mega Knight saved us here, so we'll laugh at him because I really do not like that Archer Queen Pigs deck. Um, okay, what I was saying is, on the trip up to Oregon, I was sitting in the back seat for the first portion of the trip. I was leaning my head up against the window, and I was just thinking, man, I would be in a terrible spot if we got T-boned. Like, I'm just leaning directly up against the side of the window. If a car came and hit us, like, I would be in a terrible position, essentially. And it kind of got me thinking about, it kind of got me thinking back to my car dealership days, because we were in a Subaru. My brother has a Subaru, and I worked at a Subaru dealership. Um, and I was just kind of reminded of, the safety features that are in Subarus, because we're in a Subaru. I was kind of, you know, just the thought of a car, it's kind of a dark thought, but just the thought of a car accident, like, oh, what if we got hit by a car right now, kind of crossed my mind. And obviously when you sell cars, you're kind of taught um, everything there is to know about them, because you're selling them, so you need to be knowledgeable about them. So I was just thinking back to my dealership days, back when I sold Subarus, and just thinking about some of the safety features that they install, um, and kind of what makes a safe car. Because a lot of the people that came in to buy a Subaru were coming in to buy them because they were safe. Like, a lot of the people were elderly, a lot of the people had families, and they were just looking for the safest car. And Subaru gets pretty good safety reviews. Um, and so I was thinking back to some of the features that cars, Subaru and other brands just kind of install to keep their cars safe. And one of the things that I was thinking about is how the safest cars are not, they're not ones that are the most rigid. They're not ones that stay the most intact during an accident. They're actually the ones that kind of crumple in an accident. Because if you get into a car accident and you're in a completely rigid car, all of the force from you slamming into another car or slamming into a building. Speaking of a building, that mortar building is going to take our whole town. Okay, no, it's not that bad. We do have vines to reset it, I guess. But all of the force from that accident is just going to be transferred directly to you inside the cabin. Um, Also, I don't know why I haven't been graveyarding more. Like, even though we don't have a tank for it, Um, we're up against Cannoneer, so I think we can probably get away with it. Um, but essentially, if you don't have a way of if you don't have a way of absorbing the impact, then all of the force from the crash um, just gets transferred to you essentially. And so the safest cars are actually the ones that end up. Okay, no chokes, please. Okay, we do win. The safest cars are the ones that crumple in an accident. They have crumple zones to absorb the impact. The front and the back are kind of designed to crumple in an accident instead of remain rigid. That way, less of the impact of the force gets transferred to you, and that's what makes a safe car in a crash. And so I was kind of thinking about that and thinking about something I remember hearing. This could have just been an analogy. This could have been a real thing, but um, how a lot of times in a storm, trees end up breaking and cracking because they just stand so stiff and so rigid. But obviously grass or bamboo or something flexible doesn't have an issue because it just bends with the wind, right? If there's a storm, if there's really heavy wind, the grass just kind of sways with the wind, where a tree remains really rigid. And so a lot of times trees break in storms, but grass or something like that doesn't. And so the whole message of this is just to kind of be flexible, right? You don't need to, being the strongest person doesn't mean being the most rigid, being the most brittle. It means being flexible, being able to kind of break and bend, not break, being able to kind of bend and adjust, and kind of absorb the impact. And that's, hopefully this makes sense. Um, it kind of goes along with the message I was sharing a couple videos ago, where a lot of times people think that being strong is doing everything yourself, but in reality, a lot of times it's getting other people to help you out. It's being willing to, accept that you can't do everything on your own. And so this was just kind of something else I was thinking about that went along those lines as well. If you go through something difficult, just kind of learn to bend. Don't just be completely rigid. Don't do everything yourself. Learn to kind of take a joke. Learn to kind of take things a little bit lightly, not take things so serious. Learn to kind of bend and crumple in that way, and you might find that you're better off getting through trials or getting through difficulties. So that was the Olympics themed deck. We were able to win a couple games with it. Um, Hopefully you guys are enjoying the Olympics. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you all soon.